Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hancock with Beyond You Coaching. Did you know that we are all constantly evolving? Human beings are unique in that we are the only creature on Earth that has been endowed by creation to access unlimited conscious expansion. Today, I want to talk about the nature of the mind, spiritual growth, and how our ability to integrate different life experiences affect our conscious evolution. First, it's important to understand that our mind is a vehicle of consciousness, as is our physical body. Our ability to evolve depends upon how open our mind is. By open, I mean how willing we are to listen to and entertain different viewpoints. Different viewpoints are nothing more than different perspectives. Perspectives are ways in which we see the world. I'm sure you've already observed that some perspectives appear childish, whereas others seem an enigma. For example, when we look upon a typical 7-year-old child learning to navigate their way through the world via cultural norms and social mores, we are also reminded of ourselves at that young age and remember the limitation of the frame of reference that we once had. Because of this, if we are aware, we choose to respond to the child with patience and understanding. When the child grows into a typical teenager with the mindset of invincibility and perhaps recklessness, we instantly recognize this pattern as being reminiscent of something we once were. We may react with frustration at their lack of self-control or respond with wisdom to help guide them accordingly. These two examples clearly show how we continually mature over time. As we enter adulthood, we still continue to evolve into higher and finer states of conscious awareness. This process does not stop as long as we are embodied. Now think for a moment of when you may have encountered an individual that appeared mysterious or perhaps difficult to figure out. In these instances, you may have been in awe of them or perhaps repulsed or frustrated with your lack of understanding. In either case, you were unable to find any familiar patterns in this individual's way of being or perspective. If this is the case, it may be an indication that this individual is operating at a higher plane of consciousness, one that is more inclusive than yours. An example of this would be the great teachers of our world, those that have occupied a plane of consciousness far beyond the average limited mind. For example, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Zoroaster, Krishna, and many more that are living today. We are all energy beings, and energy never lies. When we encounter an individual of this inclusive and universal nature, we are naturally drawn to them. There is a magnetic pull to such elevated states of consciousness. And though we cannot grasp their teachings through our mind, we can feel through our heart that their words and vibration indicate and express profound truth. So now that we know that we all operate on different planes of reference or awareness, and we know that we are constantly evolving, is there anything that we can do to consciously speed up this process? Do we have a hand in our evolutionary growth? The answer is yes. We just reviewed how perspectives and frames of reference change over time through the acquisition of new data, information, and knowledge. It has been said many times that knowledge is power. Therefore, it's not a surprise that many religions and philosophies have pointed towards ignorance as the primary reason for suffering upon this planet. If ignorance is suffering and knowledge illuminates, then the key to growing spiritually in any given lifetime is adopting an attitude that is tolerant, curious, and discerning. For example, the ability to tolerate different viewpoints can lead to a wider variety of life experiences. A wide variety of life experiences can translate into a greater pool of data that one can reference. This greater pool of data is also known as knowledge. When knowledge is integrated, it turns into wisdom. We all know that travel and immersion into different cultures and traditions can broaden our perspective on life, which makes us less rigid in our viewpoints and belief systems. The more wide and varied your life, the more tolerant you become. The more tolerant you become, the more wide and varied your life. So tolerance for other viewpoints and experiences is the first step towards accelerating your spiritual growth. Another aspect to growth is curiosity. Curiosity is a sign of a very open mind and is a catalyst to maturity and conscious evolution. Curiosity leads to questions, and questions lead to different levels of awareness and information that you were previously blind to. For example, let's say you recently read a book and came across a concept that feels foreign to you. Instead of immediately closing the book and calling the author crazy, you can choose to tolerate the information. Through tolerance, you can become curious about the data. Through curiosity, you can ask questions to yourself. Questions like, does this make sense to me? How is what the author is saying true for me? How is what the author is saying untrue for me? Could there be a possibility that what they are saying is true? If so, in what instance? Where in my life have I seen this to be true? What else can I apply this data to? Where does this data lead me if I choose to accept it as true for now? When you have curiosity, you tend to ask a lot of questions. Curious and open-minded individuals are not rigid in their point of view because they are eager to find out more and discover what else could be known. By asking questions, you open your mind to acquiring new experiential data by way of different people, experiences, books, dreams, visions, imagination, or coincidental encounters and serendipitous moments. This is all new data presenting itself for you to investigate and learn more about. Think of when you were a child. How many questions did you ask? At times, your questions were never ending because you were so thirsty to know everything you could know about your environment and life itself. Children are amassing huge amounts of data and learning at exponential rates, and thus use curiosity in order to facilitate their fast growth. The only problem is that adults don't seem to carry this behavior into middle or old age because they mistakenly think they figured it all out. But we are always learning and growing. A third aspect to accelerating your spiritual growth is discernment. Discernment is when you take your newfound data and ascertain for yourself whether it makes sense for you, and if you can use it to facilitate a higher, better, brighter version of yourself. A great rule of thumb is to take on only what feels right for you and leave behind what doesn't. This is a very simple and healthy way of going about learning and growing. You don't have to make anyone wrong. You don't have to point the finger or cast blame. You simply tolerate different beliefs and investigate through natural curiosity if a new piece of information will help or hinder you. For example, if someone offers information that doesn't immediately ring true for you, you can simply save this data for future reference. It may not make sense to you now, but it may make sense to you in the future when your mind is perhaps ready to accept it. It's common for spiritual teachers to have some areas of contention with their students. There are some aspects to the teaching that some students find difficult to accept, understand, or digest. If this is the case, then you can simply tolerate it, show curiosity, and discern whether or not it makes sense for you right now. If it makes sense, then accept it for now. If it doesn't, then discard it and keep it for future reference. In this way, you are not blindly following someone and are always choosing your integrous response to reality. The trick to advancing into higher and higher levels of perception is to not get stuck with any particular point of view. See life as a ladder, and your current frame of reference as a rung on a ladder. As you continue to learn and grow, you naturally transcend certain belief structures and adopt new ones. I call this climbing the ladder of consciousness. When our mind is more expansive and inclusive, we can easily be around different kinds of people and circumstances without feeling uncomfortable or uneasy. Our ability to be fluid and at ease with many different kinds of life experiences indicates a very advanced level of consciousness, predicated upon universal love, tolerance, acceptance, and willingness. If you think of the frame of reference of Jesus Christ or Buddha, we can easily see their inclusive nature for all beings and their compassion and understanding for all frames of reference. The higher and finer your level of consciousness, the more power, freedom, and responsibility. So we can easily see that human conscious evolution is entirely in our hands and always has been. We choose how fast or slow our evolution goes based upon our willingness to have an open mind towards different life experiences. As our awareness increases, our reliability on external data for growth and knowledge will naturally diminish, and our interest in turning inward will increase. In states of deep stillness and presence, vast amounts of knowledge and wisdom are always available to us. Ultimately, the best teacher is found within. The guru is within. So no matter what your upbringing was, no matter your parents, culture, religion, or beliefs, you are not a fixed being. If you consciously utilize and express an attitude for tolerance, curiosity, and discernment, you will maximize your ability to consciously evolve in this lifetime. It is my greatest wish that all people come to see the significance of conscious growth and expansion and strive to live a life that is in accordance with this highest ideal. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and share it with someone who can benefit from knowing that they too can accelerate their conscious evolution through an open mind. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and if you're new here and are interested in learning more about the mind, personal growth, and higher awareness, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.